appreciate that. So if you're just hopping on, welcome to IJS Online Yoga Studio. I'm Cantor Lizzie Shamash, and today's props will be a blanket or two, a chair, a strap, and a block. Don't worry if you don't have all those things, but for sure pad up your mat. We'll be lying for today's practice. Lying down, that is, as opposed to lying to one another or something like that, which is not part of our practice. Great, so we'll get started. Thank you all for your wishes of refuah shlema. I really appreciate that. So welcome to this 8th day of Elul and the 2nd week of the Shofar project. It is great to see you here. It's great to see so many people in our beautiful, beautiful yoga shul, our yoga community. We'll start with a little bit of breath work, and then some teaching, and then practice, which will take us to about 45 minutes. And then I'm here for 15 minutes of Q&A, reflection. It's a wonderful part of our practice, so do stay if you're able. As you might have seen in the chat, today I'm managing some neck and shoulder pain, which unfortunately for the first time really prevents me from totally modeling with you, for you. So I'm going to try to use my words as best I can, but please listen more than you watch me today. I'm sorry for that, but I hope to support your practice as best I can. And I know that I'm taking my own words as a teacher, and it was hard for me to make this discernment, but I know I would tell myself as a student, go easier. So that's what I'm going to do today. So let's take a seat. It can be on a chair or it can be on the floor with some propping, cross-legged. If you have access to a wall behind you, that can be a nice way to give some support for your back. But any way you like, any way that's comfortable for you, come to a comfortable seat. You might rock side to side and lift the flesh of the buttocks a little bit away to expose the sitting bones and ground down. And find the base, they form the base of the pelvic bowl. And really let them ground down into your support. Find the center of the two sitting bones, both from left side to right side, and also the center of each. If you can, really drill down right away to that awareness. And if you can't, that's okay too. We're always working toward greater refinement. And take your mind's eye to the low back. Notice how the sacrum hugs in, and also the low belly from the front hugging in towards the spine to support you. And in your mind's eye, you might walk up the spine to the thoracic spine, the area of the rib cage. Keep walking up the back of the heart, and then climbing up the cervical spine, the neck, as it hugs forward toward the throat. The whole thing really ends almost between your ears, crown of the head reaching up. See if you can drop the shoulders down a little bit. Let the base of the shoulder blades, the bottom tips of the shoulder blades rest down. And rest your hands in any way that's comfortable for you at this moment. You can allow the eyes to be open and soft or to close, whichever is more preferable, safe, and comfortable for you. And here we are on this 8th day of Elul. Just start to notice your breath coming and going. Notice the belly and chest rising and falling. Your breath God's breath, divine breath, source. Without any attachment to it or any need to deepen or change the breath in any way, just observe it coming and going, softly in and out. Feeling this nishmat chayim, source of all life, just coming and going, soul of life, pulse. See if any kavanah, any intention arises for you, for your practice today. It might be a word or a phrase that just might serve as a guidepost for you through practice, or something you need a little more of. Just notice. And if no kavanah comes to the fore, that's fine. Just trying to see where we are today. Breath coming and going. Landing right here. And if the eyes are closed, you might open them, or you might keep them closed. We're gonna move to a little bit of teaching for a moment, and then we'll get to our practice. So, in the Shofar project through Elul this year, we at the Institute are looking forward at this practice, this upcoming practice for the year of Shemitah, of a sabbatical, a rest and release in the 7th year that will come at Rosh Hashanah for the year. Shemitah is a release of our control over the planet and the earth with specific laws for agriculture, a release over other human beings, a sense of control or superiority or hierarchy, and a release for ourselves as well from habits, behaviors of body, as we look at in yoga, and mind and heart, and systems of oppression. Right? So we look in Shemitah traditionally mostly at practice around agriculture, around slaveholding, and around debt forgiveness. Our teaching this week is a beautiful essay from Rabbi Sam Feinsmith. You received it yesterday, and I really encourage you to dig into it and to read it. I'm going to give you a few pieces that'll guide our practice today. But one of the things that Sam said last week on the meditation, on the daily sit, which really stuck with me, which is really important, and he mentions it here in this essay, is that the practice of Shemitah, of rest and release, is countercultural. It's politically subversive, right? While the world engages in industry, in speed, in oppression, in aggression, we're consciously practicing non-doing, non-harming, and resting. That's a big deal. It is countercultural, and I want to name that for us. We're taking up a big practice. So this week, Sam quotes from Deuteronomy, chapter 8. When you've eaten your fill and have built fine houses to live in, and your herds and flocks have multiplied, and your silver and gold have increased, and everything you own has prospered, beware lest your heart grow haughty and you forget the sustainer. Remember that it is the mighty one who gives you the power to get wealth in fulfillment of the covenant made on oath with your fathers, as is still the case. That's Torah. And Sam says this: Torah recognizes that we human beings can easily fall into delusion, imagining ourselves to operate independently of the great oneness of being. A natural outgrowth of such a misperception is the mistaken belief that we own the earth and are therefore entitled to exploit it as we see fit to increase our power and our wealth. As a corrective to our tendency to fall prey to this delusion, the Torah provides us with an earth-based spiritual practice called Shemitah, literally a year of release or letting go. During this year-long sabbatical, a kind of extended retreat, we are asked to release our habitual tendencies. And remember that phrase, because I think that's yoga right there. Release our habitual tendencies and grow in awareness of our interdependence within the great oneness. To counter our desire to manipulate the earth for our benefit, Torah counsels us to put down our man-made instruments, so often used to wantonly extract more wealth from the earth than we need, and let the land lie fallow. To undercut our sense of the land as our possession, private ownership of land is suspended, all fields are open to the commons. To neutralize our greed, amassing and hoarding the earth's produce, we're to take only what we need, share whatever the land spontaneously grows with all who wish to eat, rich and poor alike, as well as domestic livestock and native wildlife. To undermine our tendency to commodify and cheapen that which the earth provides, Shemitah produce is rendered holy. Though it may be eaten or employed for personal use, it may not be sold or thrown away. And to disabuse us of the notion that we can profit from someone else's suffering or disenfranchisement. At the conclusion of 7 sabbatical cycles, we mark a celebratory year of Yovel, of Jubilee, the great release, by returning all purchased lands to their ancestral tribal holders. Sam goes on to say, every human being on this planet exists in a state of mutuality with the earth, its ecosystems, its human, animal, and plant communities, all of which are ultimately sustained by the great ocean of being. There's so much here, and I encourage you to really dig into it this week. So as we explore our mutuality with the earth, and I thought about it during this week as I prepared practice, I thought it would be really beautiful to have a practice where we're completely in contact with the earth and feel our releasing into the earth and the earth's support of us as we work on our own release. So if you'll lay down a blanket at your head, you may not want, but it can be very nice to support the neck. And lay down. And bend the knees, soles of the feet to the floor. Either have the feet parallel and heels in line with your sitting bones, or heel toe the feet out towards the edge of the mat so that the outer edge of the foot is at the edge of the mat, and turn the toes in just slightly. And if you take this second option, you might notice a little bit extra widening for the low back if that feels comfortable for you. See which one is better for you. Take the hands to the back of the head and take the finger pads right into the base of the skull. Give yourself a little bit of a massage with those finger pads. Just working your way into the soft place at the base of the skull. And then with those finger pads pressed in and holding there, give your head a little bit of a pull. It's a little bit of release and lengthening for your cervical spine. You might feel it reverberate all the way to the low back, to the tailbone. It's really quite something. And then with that length, place your head back on the support, on the blanket. Take the hands for a moment to the rib cage. Let the palms spread across the rib cage. And feel your ribs rise and fall in the front. And swing out to the sides as well on the inhale. And as well to the back. So feeling on the inhale, the ribs press against the mat. A three-dimensional opening. Let your priority be your exhale. So consciously attempting a sense of shmita in the breath, of release, by allowing the exhale to be a little longer than the inhale. Allowing that exhale to have a little higher priority, a little more importance. Let your eyes be soft. Space behind the eyes soft. And let the jaw soften. And you can take the hands from here either to the low belly or out to the sides, whatever feels most comfortable for you. We're going to begin really small, just a little bit right and left with the head. Not very far, just rocking a little bit side to side. Feel the weight of the skull releasing to the earth. And then start to take it a little wider. You might take the right ear, the gaze all the way over the shoulder. That's what I meant to say. And back towards center on an inhale, and then exhaling to the left. A little further. You'll see how much range of motion you would like. And if it feels comfortable to coordinate with the breath, it's an exhale as we turn to the side and an inhale as we come back to center. And then the next time you come over to the right, just pause here, let be. See what you notice in the stretch. You might feel a lot or a little. There might be no sensation or intense sensation. However it is, just notice. See what you notice. And then inhale, come back to the center, and exhale to the left and stay. Staying in your body, in your experience. And as I mentioned, I won't be modeling so fully today, so if you get lost a little, just keep listening to my words and hopefully it'll take you right back to where you need to be. Notice as you have your head to the left if there's any sense of pushback from the mind that you should be doing more or expecting more of yourself. And just note that. Let it pass through. And inhale back to center. And this time we're going to take the right ear towards the right shoulder, a little side bend of the head neck. And pause there. We often do these stretches in a different relationship with gravity, don't we? We do them sitting up. And so notice any benefit or just any change of doing them in the supine position. Let the bones drop. Let the body be heavy. Let the body be supported. Notice what happens when you intentionally do less. And then inhale as you come back to center, and exhale, take the left ear towards the left shoulder. You may notice it's different on this side, different one side to the other. And that's fine. And as you stay in this passive stretch a little longer, you might notice that you want to go a little deeper, a little more to the side, or come out a little bit. Continue to deepen the exhale cycle. Deepen your sense of Shemitah consciousness, of lying fallow, of resting, giving this beautiful body rest. And then come back to the center on an inhale. And take the arms up towards the ceiling, palms facing each other. And inhale, extend the palms up towards the ceiling, separate the shoulder blades, and let the outer shoulders come up off the floor. And with an exhale, let everything drop. And once again, inhale, send the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Exhale, drop. Cross those elbows across the chest. Give yourself a hug with the arms. It doesn't matter which elbow is on top. You might even rock a little side to side. Pull the shoulder blades apart from each other. Widen out the torso along the mat. Just let that hug be easy as the arms drop, and let the knees drop in towards each other. Feet wide, knees dropping in. And again, prioritize the exhale. Soften the forehead, soften the brow. Inhale and open the arms back out. Exhale, switch the cross of the elbows and give yourself a hug once again. And again, any rocking side to side or spreading apart of the shoulder blades, if you feel that urge, that direction. Just as the earth has answers for us, the body has deep answers, deep wisdom for us when we engage in this practice of listening, deep tuning in. And then release the arms, and we're going to take them now overhead. And you might have them just nice and loose with the elbows bent, or you might extend the arms long overhead, whatever works in your shoulders. We're going to move the torso over towards the right side of the mat. So taking a side stretch here, making a C curve on the left side of the body. So you could take it just super easy with the elbows bent, or you could extend that left arm long away from you and hold the left wrist with the right hand. Give it a little tug. That's an option. Gives you a little more intensity. So lots of options. And if you want to have more from here, you can also engage the lower body in this way. So feel free to just stay put as you are with soles of the feet on the floor and knees bent. If you want to get a little more and get into the hip and into the psoas, you're going to take that left leg and extend it towards the right bottom corner of the mat. So making yourself like a banana shape. And then if you want even more from there, you'll extend the right leg as well. And you can cross ankles. And I won't say which, try both, because people like both ways. It sort of just depends on what you need. And if you're in that banana shape, it's also really nice to take that pull on the left wrist. So wherever you are, whether it's upper body, torso alone, or including the lower body, just be here and breathe. Shmita consciousness. Rest and release. You know, and this idea of freedom from debt, it's not just financial, it's really also freeing your body, releasing your body from any debt it might owe you, any oppression you might be holding over it, over yourself. Body's not an it. Just dropping into each exhale, letting go. And any one of these passive stretches independently could be your 5-minute practice of the day. I'm always trying to encourage whatever time you have, take a little practice every day. So any one of these on its own could stand as a daily yoga practice. Just a small bite. And then as you're ready coming out of this, so if the legs are extended, go slowly, bend each knee, starting with the right and then the left, bring them back to center. And then slowly releasing the upper body back to center. And before we go to the other side, lengthen the legs if you're able, if there's no strain on your lower back. Let the feet be as wide as the mat. Let the palms turn to face up by your sides, a little shavasana. You might flap the ankles a little bit, digging the heels in. Just give yourself a heel rock. Letting the body vibrate, move. And then pause, be still, and just notice, do you feel any difference? Right side to left side. See what you notice. And we'll bend the knees once again. Take the soles of the feet back to the floor and the arms up overhead, and we'll take the other side. So inchworming your way over towards the left side of the mat with the upper body. And see where you want the arms to be. You might just make it very easy with a bend at the elbows. You might extend through that right arm and hold the right wrist with the left hand. Give it a little pull. And then tune in and discern whether you would like to use the legs as well. And if so, you'll extend the right leg long towards the left corner of the mat. You might simply extend the one leg, or you might extend both legs and cross ankles one way or the other way. This pose specifically, I call it banana. I think others call it banana too, for the obvious reasons. This pose really involves your attention as a cook. You know, do I need a little more basil, a little less pepper flakes? You got to check it out. A very nuanced one. Notice if at any point your breath starts to catch or hold, and if so, it's too much. Back it up a little bit. And once again, prioritize the exhale. Allow the throat to soften. Non-doing. Not only non-speaking, but really just releasing. You could even swallow once or twice. Release the larynx. Allow the tongue to soften and the jaw to soften. And let your body be held by the earth. Ideally, we might do this practice in the grass, really actually lying on the earth. As you're ready, starting to unravel, taking the right leg back, the left leg back, bringing the torso back. And then once again, lengthening out the legs. Bring the arms by the sides, about 10 inches out from the sides, palms facing up. Tuck your shoulder blades under you. Just wag your heels for a moment. Tops of the feet forward and back. Give yourself a little spinal rock. Pause. Notice. And then bend the knees. We're going to give the knees a little hug into the chest. Any way you like. You might cross one ankle over the other if that's comfortable. You might rock it side to side a little bit. If you're crossing ankles, also cross the other direction. And let's take the hands to the kneecaps and make little circles with the knees, so that you outline the rim of the sacrum, of the low back. Breathe freely, smoothly. As you slowly outline this rim, give your low back a bit of massage, a bit of attention, and then take it in the other direction as well. And then as you're ready, roll over to the side. Come on up and grab your chair. And bring your chair and your strap to where your head goes. You're going to belt the strap. You have a nice loop and you want to check it that you can pull. It doesn't, it's holding. The strap goes around the chair. So it's nice and secure and hangs down, but not all the way to the floor, right? Got a couple of inches between the bottom of the strap and the floor. And it's going to go like this. We're putting our neck in traction. Lovely, lovely, lovely for the head and neck to really let go. So what happens is I come in here under the chair and the strap goes around the back of my head, and you have to play with it a little bit. If it's too high, you'll notice that your chin tucks too much to your chest, and you don't want that. You don't want to squeeze off here, and you don't want to overly flex the neck, right? And if you go too low, like really right into the occiput, sometimes you get into, your head falls and it gets into overly flexed. So might just take a moment to find the right spot and to trust that. And once you do, just let the head go. Knees bent, soles of the feet on the floor. And if you do not have the chair strap set up today, I want to encourage you to simply take this position on the floor with the blanket under your head. Elbows out to the side and hands, palms down on the low belly as I have. And simply focus on the mental instruction to free your neck, to release, to encourage non-doing. We'll stay here for a few more minutes. Really practicing and encouraging this idea of Shemitah, leaving be. Nothing to do. So we're supporting length in the cervical spine. We're supporting the alignment of head, jaw, neck, and shoulders. And when you work with one end of the spine, you're automatically helping the other end of the spine. So today we're here for just a few minutes. You could stay here for 10 or even 20 minutes at another time and make this a lovely part of your practice. As you're ready, slowly releasing your head from the strap and coming out and laying your head back down on the mat and pausing. And then as you're ready, rolling to one side, we're going to come on up and we're going to address the other end of the spine with our final relaxation by taking the lower legs to the chair, resting the calves on the chair, and lying back down. And you might take that blanket for your head if you like, if that's a support that you like. If you have an eye pillow, go for it. Or if you want to use your blanket to cover yourself, give a little warmth. Make yourself as comfortable as you can be to encourage complete rest. So with your lower legs on the chair, bring your hips away from the chair such that your upper leg, your thigh bone, is on a diagonal a little bit. So you give some space to the knee joint, to the hip joint. Allow the palms to face up. Tuck your beautiful shoulder blade wings under you. At the front of the chest, the tops of the collarbones be wide. Allow your eyes to close if that feels safe and comfortable. Otherwise, just keep your eyes open and very softened gaze. Let go of your attention to the breath. Let go of your attention to any effort. Let go of thought. Shmita, rest, release, and freedom. And begin to deepen the breath. Draw the knees toward the chest. Make your way over onto your side using your upper arm as a pillow for your head. A fetal position, pausing. Taking your time to come up to a comfortable seat with support. Just noticing how it feels after some period of time, about 40 minutes, 45 minutes of being in that lovely supported relationship with gravity. Notice how it feels to come back into this relationship with gravity. What do you notice? And checking in with that kavanah that you made at the beginning of class, if there was something apparent for you. It's re-bringing to mind that intention. And see if you want to carry it with you for the rest of the day. Is it something important as a guidepost? So as we go through this second week of Elul, our walk toward Rosh Hashanah, our preparations, may we begin together to engage this sense of Shemitah, consciousness, awareness together of really true rest and release that will help us to become aware of our own patterns, our own delusions, to look at the difficult stuff, to look at teshuvah, really creating this container of safety in release. Completing our practice with a couple of deep, full, and complete breaths. Allowing your eyes to flutter open if they're closed. Shavua Tov, everyone. Thank you so much for practicing for your own self and for the benefit and support of the community, and for the benefit and support of all beings and for this planet. So thank you for being with us. We'll move to some Q&A. So if you have a question, you can use the raise hand function under the reactions, and we'll go from there. It's really a pleasure to practice with you today, and I'm wondering how things have landed for you in your body with this work. So Donna and Jody and Bimaya and then Kathy. Go for it, Donna. You have to unmute. There you go.
Okay, I love your practice. Thank you. Could you talk more about that head being suspended? Where on the head is the strap lying, and what are we looking for a feeling?
Yeah, great question, Donna. Thank you for asking that. I'm sure others were feeling it too. It took me a while to get it also. So, here's, if you can see the back of my head, right? Like here's the occiput. And I find that if I put it there, it's too low because then my head just drops. And if I put it up too high on my scalp, then it pushes my chin to my chest. But there's kind of a place in what we're looking for is that spot in the middle. And I'm sure it's different for every head structure where when you release, There's no gripping. You really feel that the strap is holding you and you feel safe and supported enough that you can start to release. So that if there's gripping, you're not in the right place. And I want to say it can take a couple times too to get used to it.
Thank
Is
you.
that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, great. Great, great. Jody.
I had the same question, but as per your explanation, it slips on my hair, the belt. So
It slips on your head?
on my hair.
On your
So
hair, yeah. I wonder if you could maybe you could put like a blanket or a towel between the strap and your hair. Because
okay,
if my hair is like super thick and dry, so if your hair is really silky, I could see how it might slip.
okay.
That's a good suggestion. Bimaya, I've been saying your name wrong a lot until last week. I think that's the way you said it. Is that correct?
Yes, it's Bamaya. It rhymes with my Hebrew name, Haya.
Nice. Okay. Bimaya rhymes with Chaya. All this time I've been saying be Mia, like be me. I thought, oh, that's great. Bimaya. Beautiful.
Uh-huh.
I
Thank
apologize
you.
for that.
Oh, that's okay. It happens a lot, but now everyone when I was little used to say Bamaya Papaya, which does help people too. But now that I have a Hebrew name and it's Haya, that's also helpful. But usually
Amazing.
online, rabbis just don't call me Bamaya at all. They're just like Haya, like because the Hebrew is
What
easier than Vietnamese. Um,
what's
I was
what's your
going to
thoughts
ask,
on?
will I be able to, because I was involved during practice and I kept it on and I need to do it, will I be able to access online later today, like YouTube or?
Oh yeah. The minute we start class, it's on YouTube and it stays on YouTube and it lives on YouTube. So it's there for you.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you can catch today's class and all the classes since we started on YouTube are
Awesome.
there.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I'll be doing that a little later when I finish up. Thanks so
Super.
much, Lizzie.
Super, super. You're welcome. You're welcome. Kathy and then Robin and then Martha.
Unmute. Okay. Um, my question is about the neck traction too, and all that you told me is helpful. Those are questions I had, but also, is the head supposed to touch the ground or is it supposed to hang?
No, it's suspended. It's almost like somebody just like holding your head and pulling it away from you and just letting your head drop into their hands. That's kind of the
Okay.
idea. So you're not on the ground, Kathy.
Okay, I couldn't get it right either, but I didn't realize where the placement of the strap was, but I'll try that. Thank you.
Yeah, so the placement, so you got to kind of like figure out the belt and like put your hand into it for a second. Just see that there's a couple inches there. Usually, if you leave like this much between your head and the floor, that's about right.
Okay,
It
thank
takes a
you.
little
Yeah,
playing with. Yeah, good question. Thank you.
okay.
Robin.
Hi, thank you very much for your practice and also for doing it while you were having discomfort.
Mm,
It particularly resonated with me because I too am having some shoulder impingement pain for which I do some
I'm
physical
sorry.
therapy. And what I find is that I need to do my yoga, but I have to really be very gentle with my shoulder. And I was wondering how you navigate the fact that you're struggling with discomfort and how do you deal with doing your practice?
Such a good question. Honestly, I take strength from all of you. And it's always said you teach what you need to learn the most, right? So I was talking with my husband this morning and I said, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I have a feeling that if I model through practice today, even though it's really like just such a basic and letting go practice, I think I'm going to be in worse pain later if I do that. And he sort of looked at me and he thought, Well, don't you think your students want to support you? And don't you think that your words are clear enough as a teacher that they don't need you to babysit them and model every little move? So to be honest with you, fully disclosing, it was like it was a big hurdle for me today, actually, to do that, because my work, I think a lot of stiff neck and rigidity, right? And shoulder, like thinking you have to hold everything on your own shoulders. A lot of that lesson from the spiritual is to give over. So I would say, like, first of all, I just try to practice all the things I preach and teach, because I think they're sound.
Do you have discomfort and a little bit while you're doing it? Or, and if you do,
Oh, yes.
how do you deal with it?
Right. So my situation in this moment is I have some stenosis in my cervical spine that I know from an MRI a few years ago. That can happen with age. And then, you get some nerve impingement, and then you also get muscles that sort of, right? And what my physical therapist said to me this morning is what happens is you kind of have this pain threshold. And when you drop, or when you get above it or below, whichever direction, whatever, when it gets more painful, your body is just continuously sending pain signals, and everything's kind of gripping, and it's hard to get out. So the answer to your question is, what happened to me this time was I kind of just, like, I overdid. I was doing my things, but I introduced some new kinds of exercises, some weightlifting stuff, some swimming, lap swimming, some kayaking. I was on vacation and I fell off a pain cliff, which I think can happen for all of us, right? And so as I try to come back from this cliff, knowing that I'm a chazan and the high holidays are in 3 weeks also, right? And trying to regulate all of this, yes, I was having some discomfort, even as I did the tiniest things with you just now. But I do believe that even with pain, if you can move a little, it's good for you. But we all have to figure out where's the too much. And I think use all the modalities that work for you, whether it's yoga, massage, PT, acupuncture, the list goes on and on and on, right? Pilates, these things that help. But for me, the biggest thing is there's one thing to be tight and to have the compassion for yourself in a regular everyday yoga practice where it's like you're beating yourself up because your hamstrings aren't loosening, right? It's another thing when you cross, I think, the pain threshold. And to be in pain and pain management from a mind-body perspective is another piece. And one thing I'm working a lot with, and through my own pain, it helps me be a better teacher, is that they talk about primary and secondary pain. Primary pain is the stuff going on in your body. And we might have some pain management people on this call too, who know more than I. But secondary pain is, the Buddhists would say there's pain and then there's the suffering. But there's a whole mental construct that exists around our pain. Oh my God, how did it happen? Why me? Why now? I'm so embarrassed. I'm so ashamed. How could this happen? How long will it go on for? Oh my God, it's my whole life. Just as I even do that litany as an example, I can feel right? So we work with both. We work with both the primary pain and then that whole constellation of secondary pain, which is big stuff. So that was a long-winded answer, but I hope it's helpful.
Extremely helpful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure, Robin.
It's reassuring to know that a practitioner like yourself struggles and then deals, because what deals with that, again, the first arrow and the second arrow in Buddhism, right? The primary and then the restriction that occurs when you're feeling the pain, and then breathing into it and not letting the brain overwhelm, the reality of what actually is happening. So it's that resistance to it and then the release of it. So I really appreciate you sharing that. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you asking, Robin. And I mean, this is really the whole theme we're getting into deeply in this time of year, and most especially as we get to Yom Kippur, is this impermanence of the body, right? It's not a joke, it's real. And so it's like what my husband was confronting me with, this authenticity this morning, is like, Well, you're a yoga teacher, but you're a human being like other human beings. And so don't we all love when our teachers show a vulnerability and a learning from their own stuff that they can share with us as they go through it? I think there's something very important to that piece of authentically showing up to what is here right now, right? That's our practice. How can I meet myself where I am now? Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. So, Martha, yeah, Martha, and then that's about all we have time for. It's a rich conversation today.
Okay. I want to ask you about the banana pose.
Yes.
Because I found myself doing it two ways. Sometimes I would stay sort of on my back. So the arm is over, but I'm on my back. So you're stretching one set of muscles, like the shoulder, outer shoulder blade. And other times I would turn on my side so that I'm like lying on I'm like in a C, but I'm on my side. And that gets a whole different set of muscles. Which did you have in mind when you were giving the instructions?
I had in mind on your back.
Okay.
I had in mind on your back, like the equivalent of banana in a standing pose would be when you, let's see, when you go this way.
Oh yes. Okay.
And then you take the
Right.
the foot behind you, kind of like that one.
Right.
It's essentially that on the floor. When you
Okay.
do it when you do it standing, there's like balance issues and you really get a lot the side body. When you do it on the floor, I find it goes super deep into the psoas.
Yes.
That's why I was sort of giving a little, like, it can be too much. I don't know how you guys all felt with that one, but that's kind of an intense one, actually. It creeps up on you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thanks to all of you. And I wish you a really beautiful week. And Shavua Tov, I'll see you next week.